Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning. Hope you're having a great start to your day. And we want to say hello to a few folks here today, as per our custom. And let's see, who's number one on the hit parade? Kevin, the chances were good that you were going to be the first one up. Jen, good morning. From Cape Breton, Maria, Mike from Norland, Rosalinda, Niagara Falls, and Carrie, Nebraska. John from Elgin, Illinois. Good morning. Mary, how are you? Jeanette from our staff. Nick from our staff. Back to back. Maryland, PEI. Lynn, Nova Scotia. And Donna, Park Hill, Serpa. And Serpa's got a sore throat this morning. Okay. And Dowling, Michelin. Bonjour. Connie, good morning. Nellie, good morning. Dr. Bennett, Newfoundland, good morning. Linda. I love those Lindas from Chatham. Another Linda right after her. Good morning, Dave. Snowy Muskoka, Wendy, good morning from London. Suzanne et Danielle, good morning. And I missed somebody there from Cape Breton. Georgie, Halifax. Elizabeth, good morning. Wanda, Virginia. And Vera. You got to understand my scroll, guys. And Wendy from Markham. It goes by so fast. Jane, how are you? And Madalena from Laval, Quebec. And Diane from Thunder Bay. Suzanne. And April, good morning. Mara, good morning. Two Maras, wow. You get it. Minus 44 this morning. Deanna, LaSalle, Sheila, Laya, good morning. Luella, West Tennessee. And they're getting ice and snow there. Can you believe it? You're down. Good morning. Sandy, Perry Sound. Jody, Sudbury, Chile. And Suzanne, good morning. Chantal, Espanola. Hazel, St. John's, Newfoundland. Beautiful. Julie, good morning. Fran from Orangeville. Monette. Guys, oh, we love you so much. Donna from Bell Valley. Julie, how are you? Bowmanville. Rosalinda, I missed you. Rosalinda, I missed you from Niagara Falls. You were the second one up this morning. Cheryl, Virginia. Sherry from Mississauga. Sue. Peggy, good morning. Jerry, Riverview. And Mary, good morning. And Grace, good morning. And Brahim, Portland, Oregon. From Newfoundland, Beverly, Natalie, Doreen. Okay, we ready to get going? Another Debbie, we love you guys. Barbara, Cape Breton. Guys, coast to coast, Canada, United States. Karen, I think, is from Sault Ste. Marie. And you guys are great. Gloria from New York. Karen, Newfoundland. Well represented Newfoundland. Good morning. And I'm drinking my coffee this morning. Okay. Okay. Now, I want to do a little history. We're not going to go way back, but we're going to go back because I read an article that meat consumption, let me read it to you, beef consumption is down 40% since 1980. Did you know that? Beef consumption is down 40%, okay? Now, in my opinion, it's one of the worst things that have ever happened to our society. We got duped. And I said, okay, if this article I read is telling us that we're down 40%, I knew that meat consumption was down, but I didn't know it was down by 40%. But that's what this research is showing. The consumption of meat, especially beef, is down 40%. Okay? Now, I've told you about the serial killers in the past. And if I was to give you an exam, okay, I would ask you to name, these two serial killers, not with a C, but with an S, that really got this whole anti-meat. The first guy was Dr. Kellogg's, okay, and his associates. And Dr. Kellogg's, we all know about Kellogg's, was the inventor of cereal. And he actually believed this, okay? So it wasn't like he was a dummy, he was a medical doctor. But he believed that, seriously guys, okay, testosterone needed to come down in men. And it's one of the reasons that he invented cereal. I'm not kidding you. And so he, that was sort of a start. And then I talked to you about a Dr. Ancel Keys. So if you want to know who the biggest serial killers were, because I believe that one of the greatest, inhumane things is when people have been duped about their health. And so you had Dr. Kellogg's, and then you got a fella by the name of Dr. Ancel Keys. He was a pathologist from the University of Minnesota. He wasn't a dummy either. But after Dwight Eisenhower, the President of the United States, had a heart attack, dropped right in a sand trap on a golf course, had a massive heart attack. He survived, but they interviewed this Dr. Ancel Keys, and he said, well, I know what caused our president to have a heart attack. What? Yeah, he said, it's cholesterol. And the world went, what? Cholesterol? Yeah, he said, it's, I'm a pathologist and I see, this waxy substance in blood vessels, and that's what caused our president to have a heart attack. He got so popular, by the way, he was featured in Time magazine. In those days, okay, just gotta, if you're my age, what Time magazine and Life magazine and in those days, magazines were like, every bit as popular as TV. And I mean, the Time magazine, if you were on the front of Time magazine, I mean, you were famous. Dr. Keys got on the front of Time magazine in 1965 on his theory of cholesterol. And it changed. If you think Kellogg's changed, I mean, they did in a way, because a lot of people had bought the lies in the 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, cereal, right? And then on top of that, you get another guy who gets into the news big time, and he tells you cholesterol is at the forefront of heart disease. Now, there was people challenging him, but he won the day. Okay? He won the day. And the food industry, okay? I'm going to tell you, this is interesting because you got to sort of research it because, nobody talks about this too much. I did my thesis in clinical nutrition, guys. So I did it on chronic fatigue, but part of my PhD training in nutrition was the history of nutrition, the history of foods. And so I love history. I'm a history buff. I love reading. How did this happen? How are we in since 1980? How can we be down 40% in the consumption of beef? What? Yep. Well, Kellogg's, Ansel Keys. Did you know that in the 1960s, okay, true story, the sugar industry paid Harvard researchers, nutritional researchers in those days, they paid them to say that sugar wasn't a problem. Sugar's not a problem. Fat's a problem. Okay? Sugar's not a problem. Eggs and meat are a problem. Yeah. And in 1980, there was a huge paper that came out, and it talked about the negative effects on your body when you eat eggs and meat. Brought to you by the food industry. They were paid researchers. And in those days, they didn't have to tell you where they were getting their money. They just came out with this bogus research. And guys, listen to me. The whole world went for it. And so when I read an article, like, is it down 40%? Yep. Beef consumption is down 40%. Now, that's down 40%, but heart disease is up. Diabetes is up. Cancer is up. Not down, up. 93% of the population are metabolically unwell. Okay? We use that word metabolically, but what does that mean? Right? You guys know it, but it's always good to review it. What does it mean that 93% of the population have some form of metabolic syndrome? Well, here it is. 93%. It used to be 88. In 2015, 2016, it was 88%. Now they took out their eraser and they've corrected it, and it's up to 93%. You know what it is? High blood pressure. One of these things, or a couple of these things, and you have metabolic syndrome. High blood pressure, high triglycerides, low HDL. People don't even look at that. People don't even look at that. Oh, Dr. Martin, my cholesterol is up. Good for you. Why do you want to have low cholesterol? Why? I talked to you yesterday about LDL cholesterol. Why do you want to have a low LDL cholesterol? Why? Well, everybody tells me my cholesterol. I know, but what are your triglycerides? What is your HDL? That ratio is so important. High blood pressure, high triglycerides, low HDL, belly fat, okay? Those are signs of metabolic syndrome. And you rarely ever hear that, but 93%. And listen to this, it's really important. And it says this: when you have metabolic syndrome, it's a food problem. you have elevated, high circulating insulin, or another word for it is insulin resistance. That's what it means. Insulin is a food hormone, not caused by beef, not caused by bacon and eggs. It's not. Nobody ever got metabolic syndrome if they lived on bacon and eggs, beef, cheese. Nobody. You see, because metabolic syndrome is a food problem. Now, let me give you a little bit of history too. This is interesting. I was thinking about this yesterday. And when I was in school, okay, so you go back to the days of Noah, okay. My grandchildren think, Grandpa, did you live when Noah lived? You know, like they can't. I'm so ancient to them, okay. But when I was their age, you know what? When I looked at my grandma or whatever, and boy, she's old. Like, I kind of love it, right? But what I'm saying is, okay, when I was in school, do you know what we called diabetes? Do you know what we called diabetes? Sugar diabetes. We used to call it sugar diabetes. I have sugar diabetes. Now remember, in my home, I live with a diabetic, my father. One of the most disciplined men you've ever met was my dad. But he became a sugar diabetic. And wasn't it interesting that even before, you know, I went into university and all this and that, and to go get my degrees, my dad, I watched my father. And I like my dad, I was in high school. My dad didn't eat cereal anymore. What? Dad, what are you doing? We said, son, I can't have sugar. I have sugar diabetes. Hello? That's what they used to call it. But I want to talk to you guys. Just use your thinking for a bit. The subtle change. Even in the terminology. Sugar diabetes, they didn't like that anymore. The sugar industry didn't like that. What are you calling sugar diabetes? Let's change the name to what? What did they call it? What is it today? Type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes, that's what they changed the name to. Guys, you have to understand, I watched them do it. I watched them do it. Even in school, when I took my PhD on nutrition, you know what it was? Listen, we learned all about the vitamins and the minerals and food and this and that, but even in those days, they were trying to get you moderation. Like sugar's not bad for you. It's moderation. Even in clinical nutrition, I was taught that. But remember, I had an advantage. I watched my dad. He said, son, I can't have sugar anymore. What? I can't. Because I have sugar diabetes, because that's what it used to be called. Okay, Dad. Okay. And my dad had a huge influence on me. You know, I mean, do I like cookies and ice cream? Yeah. Do I eat them? No. Like if I have a little bit of ice cream once a year, that's a treat. And even then, you see, I grew up My dad was my hero. I grew up watching him, starting to exercise, you know, and jogging when nobody jogged. You know, you jogged away from the police if they were chasing you. Like in the 1960s, you have to understand, people didn't go out for a run. What? But my dad did. My dad did. And, you know, like, I watched that. I watched him eat steak every stinking night. Like, you know, my mother would make us a meal, I'm not kidding you, and then make my dad another meal. My mom was the food police. You know, she would, my dad is like, I look like my father, and I'm like my dad. Okay? I married the best cook in the world. Like Rosie. Like, I mean it, guys. Italian stallion. And, like everything, you know, and if she makes it, I want to eat it, man. I got to be very, very careful and disciplined because, you know, I got bad genetics. But, you know, Tony Jr.'s always said this, you know, genetics sort of load the gun, but don't pull the trigger. And so all I'm saying is, guys, you can see the paradigm shift occurring. Dr. Kellogg's, Dr. Keyes, Harvard. And today, we have a literal war on beef. Hey, did you see the article? I mean, you got to understand, I started laughing out loud when I read that eggs increase your risk of blood clots. I mean, literally, guys, I laughed out loud. I said, they're not serious. Are they? And yeah, they were serious. But it's that, you know, drip, 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 drip of indoctrination. And remember, okay, guys, you're my audience. I don't know what our average age is here, okay? You're my audience, and we got a big audience when it comes to our podcast and these Facebooks. I mean, we're into the millions, guys, okay? I'm very thankful for that. I thank you guys for that. You're in right here, the heart. But understand the indoctrination, my friend. They're not really after you or me. Okay? They're not. I mean, if you know, and you can talk to people, I'm sure if you went door to door, you'd have people telling you, yeah, you know, I limit my eggs. I certainly don't have a lot of bacon. I love bacon, but I can't eat it, my doctor said. Right? But what they're really after is your kids, and for me, my grandchildren, and even my great-grandchildren. Okay? I got 4 of those. Okay? And the indoctrination is 24/7. Meat is bad. It gives you cholesterol. It's not good for you. It's bad for the environment. It's bad for the climate. And it's bad for you. And in school, they go after the kids. Don't eat meat. It's bad for the environment. It's bad for the climate. And it's bad for you. 24-hour loop cycle of news, especially to kids. And then you have a complete paradigm shift. People, they drink the Kool-Aid. They, in their minds, said, well, how can these scientists be wrong? How can these scientists be wrong? And how come Dr. Martin, who's a quack, be right? Guys, I know what I'm up against, okay? Like I said, even in my days of the 1970s in school, all my postgraduate work, in the 80s and 90s, today, I'm in a small minority of people. I don't minimize that. I know what I am up against. And that's why I always tell you guys, I'm not confident in any major changes. I'm not confident in that. So my goal has been with these podcasts, my goal is to give you the other side. My goal is to tell you the truth. My goal is to let you decide what's true and what's not. It's hard because you're going to go against the grain. You're going to be told that meat is terrible. Red meat gives you cancer. It's terrible. It's no good for you. It's bad, bad, bad. Every day, 24/7 on news cycles, that kind of stuff goes. And then you go to school. Kids go to school. And they're not taught a lot of nutrition. But they get inundated. The climate, the climate, the climate. Guys, I'm not too worried about the climate. Like, for me, first of all, it's not my area of expertise, but I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Heck, we live in Northern Ontario. It's minus 40. Minus 40. You know what that means? My American friends, that's 40 below, whether you're Celsius or Fahrenheit. We didn't get the memo about the climate changing. You know what I mean? Look, I don't want to get into that because people get mad at me. But I just say, I'm not buying it. It's not the cows doing that. It's not the cows. You know? Anywho, like I just get beef consumption down 40%. Diabetes used to be called sugar diabetes. Wow, they actually changed the name. And guess what today? Diabetes is up. From the 1970s, listen to this. Diabetes is up 300%. And yet, meat consumption is down 40%. They changed our minds. They changed fat from good fat. Don't eat butter. Eat margarine. They changed the sugar. They changed the name of diabetes to type 2 diabetes, adult onset diabetes. They gave it two names, adult onset and type 2 diabetes. They got rid of, imagine, being able to be so powerful that in my textbooks it was sugar diabetes and now it's type 2 or adult onset diabetes. And they're hiding, unless you're on this program, they're hiding a huge discovery in 2005, a huge discovery, that there was such a thing as type 3 diabetes. And that was diabetes of your brain. Type 3. Found in 2005, they found that sugar in the brain is not good for your memory. Boy, has that ever been hidden. And all the research on Alzheimer's, on dementia, has been brought to you by the pharmaceutical industry. They're not talking about sugar. They're not talking about sugar. They were talking about amyloid plaque. And they were looking at medication to fix that. And it was a colossal failure. So far, all medications for type 3 diabetes have been a colossal failure. Why is that? Because they're looking for love in all the wrong places. But you and I know differently. You know differently. If you want your brain to protect your brain, then you need to eat meat, my friend. You better eat eggs too. Okay? And you cut out that sugar. I remember my dad, you know, that little chem strip. Okay? I watched that. Chem strips. Been around a long time. And he would check for sugar in the urine. Sugar in the urine. Not good. Not good. We should get back to that. We should get back to that. Anywho. Okay. I hope you enjoyed our little lesson today on history. Lies, lies, and more lies. Man. I'm going to be here today to tell you the other side of it. Okay? I'm here to tell you. I'm on your side, guys. I mean it. I want you to be healthy. And I want you to eat right. And I want to unpack and undo the nonsense we're being taught in our society today. And it's been going on for a long time, guys. It really has. Now it's ramped up. They want us to eat crickets. The only meat you're going to eat. And the meatless craze. Oh, you want to see Dr. Martin get a migraine? Talk to me about the meatless food. I get a migraine when I hear about that stuff. Okay. Guys, have I told you lately that I love you? Have I? Not since yesterday? Okay, I'm going to tell you again, I do. Guys, thank you so much, okay? We appreciate the audience here. And tell your friends and, invite your friends. And, I always tell you, you guys know more about nutrition, and I mean it, the truth. The best audience in the world is my audience. I'll put you up against any audience of lay people anywhere. The best is mine. Because when I test you, you're smarter than the average bear. Okay. Now tomorrow afternoon session. Okay? Friday is what? Question and answer Friday. Send in your questions. Okay. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.